Hello everybody, welcome back to Needle Workshop. My name is Emily and I'm here today to show you how to turn any of our jacket sleeves into a kimono sleeve. So we had somebody reach out to us and ask us how to turn one of the jacket sleeves into a kimono sleeve. It can be a little bit tricky because a jacket sleeve is traditionally made with two pieces, while a kimono sleeve is just one piece that is extended towards the bottom. Just in case you didn't know, we actually have several different jackets that use this type of sleeve. You have the Japanese schoolboy shirt, which uses the type of sleeve. You have the schoolgirl double-breasted jacket, which has this type of sleeve, and the schoolgirl cropped up jacket, which has this type of sleeve. And if ever we make more jacket patterns, they are more likely than not gonna have this kind of traditional sleeve. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna show you how you can take that pattern and turn it into a kimono sleeve. Here we have the short uniform jacket, big sleeve, small sleeve. These are the two sleeve patterns that come with this particular model. And when you're patterning, you always want to make sure that your grain line is straight and pattern from there. So the first thing we want to do always is to mark out our seam allowance. That's 1 cm from the edge, and you want to remove it. You don't want to keep the seam allowance on when modifying a pattern. Another thing that's important here, if we go back one, as you can see, I have made sure to keep all my notches in place before eliminating the excess seam allowance. Specifically in this case, you'll want to keep all the ones from the armholes, especially because here's the thing. The reason why it could be a little bit complicated to take the sleeve from another pattern and then put it into a different bodice pattern is that the armholes are not meant to go together, and that can give some pretty funky results if they're not adjusted properly. So if you just wanted to take a traditional kimono sleeve pattern, which is completely flat, it would probably not sit very well on the shoulders with the bodice pieces of this pattern. So once you have that, the next part, as you can see, you want to turn around your small sleeve pattern. You want to flip it. The reason I'm flipping it is because these here are actually the notches that match, which means this goes and matches with this one, while this side is supposed to match with this one. As you can see, this would give you a sleeve with like kind of a natural curve to kind of follow the shape of the elbow. All traditional like suit jackets are like that. It's just it just gives a very clean silhouette, but not very practical if we want to make a kimono sleeve. So moving forward, you can eliminate your grain line completely on the small sleeve pattern because we're gonna come and we're gonna cut it. So when you're cutting it, what you want to do is you want to follow right here. You have your notch right here. You're going to want to follow the notch, go straight down, following the same direction as your original grain line. As you can see here at the bottom, there's a little bit of a delay between the corner of my sleeve and my line. This could make it a bit more tricky to properly align later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat ever so slightly and just move the line here, but make sure that it's still coming from here, from the notch, because this notch, essentially this notch here is the center of your armpit. So you're slashing the sleeve in two. So we're gonna go ahead and split it. And then you're gonna end up with two pieces here. So next, you're gonna take this piece right here and you're gonna come and put it here. Make sure to align this side with this side as so. So I'm just gonna recenter my pieces. Now I'm gonna take this corner edge and align it perfectly with this one, and this corner edge and align it perfectly with this one. There you go. As you can see, there's a little bit of overlap, but that doesn't matter because we're reshaping our sleeve entirely, so it won't have that curve anymore. So we don't need those style lines. What's important is to make sure this here is properly aligned and this here is perfectly aligned, because the section that we want to keep perfectly the same is the armhole. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove all those style lines in the center and kind of connect this with this. And there you go. Now you have essentially what is a straight sleeve. So next, right here, you want to come and add some notches. Just want to make sure it's clear. You want to add some notches here and here. Essentially, you know that this section is what is going to be sewn into your front and back bodice pieces, and anything that extends beyond is not going to be sewn. So you want to make those notches clear for later purposes. The length of your sleeve really depends on your character. I'm going to add 30 centimeters on each side, which means that my sleeve is going to dangle 30 centimeters low. Now, if you want a longer sleeve, you add more. And if you want a shorter sleeve, you add less. You could also add some length at the hem. Currently, it should sit at about the wrist. But if you wanted to go to your knuckles, you measure that out and you add that extra length at the lower hem of the sleeve. And then lastly, but not least, is you want to add back in your seam allowance. In my case, that was 1 cm. I'm adding 1 cm all around. You can add a little bit of extra at the hem, depending on how you want to finish your hem. If you want to overlock, roll in once by 1 centimeter and top stitch in place, you add 1 cm. But if you want to roll it in twice by 1 centimeter before top stitching it into place, then you would add 2 centimeter at the hem. So it really depends on how you want to finish your hem. I'm just adding 1 cm, and the rest all around is 1 cm as well. Also make sure to extend your notches back into the seam allowance for later when you're going to be cutting out your piece. So these kind of modifications are a little bit more complicated. What's important to understand is that you really want to keep the armhole the exact same shape and then work to reshape the rest of the sleeve whichever way you want. Now, when it comes to sewing this, it can be a little bit tricky. You don't want to follow the same procedure as we would with any of our other jackets, because generally speaking, a kimono or a haori is not sewn at the armpit. Essentially, there is about maybe, I don't know, it's like 10 centimeters at the bottom of the armpit here that stays unsewn. And there's about 10 centimeters of your sleeve at the top that is also unsewn. So at the armpit is completely unsewn. We do have a video on how to assemble our haori, so you can look at that to get a little bit of a better idea of how to sew these kinds of sleeves and the bodice that goes with it. And yeah, I think that kind of wraps it up. It's a really quick and short one, but I figured since I was gonna make this kind of small video anyways for the person who asked the question, I figured I could make it public for other people who want to change those jacket sleeves into haori/kimono sleeves. And it could be used for a bunch of characters. She had a very specific one in mind, but I'm sure there's a greater usage for other characters out there. So that's it for today. I hope it was helpful. If you'd like to follow us on our social media, as always, you can check us out on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. And make sure to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this. And yeah, until next time, good luck with your projects, guys. Bye-bye.